Hello, my name is Daria and I'll read you Soimos Fortress. Let's begin. A fortress seen forgotten in the darkness of time. It can still be seen on the Arana hills on the right bank of the Mureş. Here, on the hill Chakatautului, there is still the old Soimos fortress. Elevated after the first invasions of the Tartars and documentary attested in 1278, Soimos fortress emerged towards the end of the 13th century. Thanks to a noble family. It is supposed to be the family of Paul Bande Severin, who between 1272 1275 gave it first to his brother Nicholas, after which, in 1278, to his nephew brother Pouza, the son of John. The role of the fortress has gained significant growth since the reign of Prince Ladislaus Khan II, who ruled the fortress with the help of two interpositions, namely Arad Alexandru 1310 and Dominic 1311. After 1350, the fortress became a royal domain, serving as a residence for the commissars and vice-commissars of Arad. The fortress was donated consecutively in the middle of the 15th century. With the help of Buddha, document in 1442, we find out that Ladislaus Hagimasi of Berexo and his relatives were mortgaged by King Albert 1439 for the sum of 90,000 florins. It was then taken from his hands by the believers of the new king 1414. Shortly after, Vladislav I donated the Orzak family, after which the two sides reached an agreement on common rule in 1442. Following an ambiguous process, the fortress reached the Hunedoras 1446. Yanko de Hunedora succeeded in removing his opponent by giving them other compensations, and some clues gave rise to the assumptions that in the time of Yanko de Hunedora, the fortress would have been restarted. Finally, since 1453, his rule has been officialized by King Ladislav V, but no one knows for sure the proportion of this work, and it is also considered that Italian craftsmen were involved, hired and confiscated. During King Mattia Corbin, the fortress was mortgaged, passing through the hands of many people, among from Genghis 1462, at which time the fortress maintenance amounts to approx 1,000 florins a year. Starting with 1471, the fortress passes into the possession of Nicholas and Jacob Bethany, and in 1485 it was forcibly confiscated by the members of the Banfi family who had denied the king. He then proceeds the rule of John Corvin, the king's legitimate son, after which in 1509 he came to the rule of George of Brandenburg. Information from 1530-1540 begins with the mention of gatekeepers, guardians, and burglars. In peacetime, the number of men was reduced to only 12 individuals. The administration of the fortress also included vice-canons, templars, and dioceses, and the fortress area consisted of approx 95 settlements. In June of 1515, after employment Lipove, the city is besieged by Crusaders George Doja. The entire siege is well documented thanks to the survey carried out by suppressing peasant war. It is worth mentioning that there were Hungarians in the fort, both Germans and Romanians, and all of whom were in the service of George of Brandenburg. Following the defeat of the rebels under the walls of Timișoara, Ioan Zapaloia, the Prince of Transylvania, occupied the fortress and other fortifications on the valley of Mureș, and the fortress was exactly like that of neighboring Lipove. As for the passage of the fortress into the place of Pereni, it was probably only a valid recognition of the authority of Zapolia. Later, in the middle of the 16th century, it became a princely residence under the administration of Isabella, the widow of John Zapoloia. It was then occupied by the Turks in 1552, after which it was released only 43 years later, in 1595, and in 1060 it will be under the rule of Great Voivode Mihai Viteazul. Soimos castle is finally ceded to the Turks by Prince Gabriel Bethlen 1612, 1629, remaining in their hands until March 26, 1688. The fortress served military purposes until the 18th century, but without having been involved in any major event, and was officially deserted and demolished in 1788. The reason for stopping the complete destruction of the fortress is due to difficult access as well as to the distance from the locality, and in the 19th century, to pass under the protection of the monuments law, the last repairs being made at the beginning of the 17th century of the following century. It should be remembered that Daria of the fortress was one of the most important within the territory of the western countries. Counting towards to the end of the 15th century, almost 100 villages spread both on the surface of the county of Arad and the neighboring Timiș, followed by the villages of the mine, to be revived again at the beginning of the 16th century. The three cities, Soimos, Șiria, and Desna, tell a legend that they would have been built by three virgins who would have met in Syria, occasionally with which they built the fortifications. The first of them said, "If the good God helps me, my fortress will be ready tomorrow." He said, "And my city will be ready tomorrow," and the third exclaiming definitely, "Even in the good God does not help me, my fortress will be ready tomorrow." But with all their determination, the fortresses are made one by the ground at the end of their execution by craftsmen, culminating in the transformation of the three virgins into white snakes, each having a crown of gold on the crown and a golden key in its mouth. The purpose for which they appear every year, waiting for the liberator to lack the crown and keys which they will once again transform into the virgins, so that the cities will regain the magnificent splendor of the past. Hello, my name is Daria and I'll read you Soimos Fortress. Let's begin. A fortress scenes are gathered in the darkness of time. It can still be seen on the Arana hills on the right bank of the Mureș. Here, on the hill Ceaca Tăutului, there is still the old Soimos fortress. Elevated after the first invasions of the Tartars and documentary attested in 1278, Soimos fortress emerged towards the end of the 13th century. Thanks to a noble family. It is supposed to be the family of Paul Bande Severin, who between 1272 1275 gave it first to his brother Nicholas, after which, in 1278, to his nephew brother Pousa, the son of John. The role of the fortress has gained significant growth since the reign of Prince Ladislaus Khan II, who ruled the fortress with the help of two interpositions, namely Arad Alexandru 1310 and Dominic 1311. After 1315, the fortress became a royal domain, serving as a residence for the commissars and vice-commissars of Arad. The fortress was donated consecutively in the middle of the 15th century. With the help of Buddha, documented in 1442, we find out that Ladislaus Hagimasi of Berexo and his relatives were mortgaged by King Albert 1439 for the sum of 90,000 florins. It was then taken from his hands by the believers of the new king 1400